Uh,
We're back and we're with Deborah Antich. Antich. You
and
just said no one
close.
says it
No,
right.
it's crazy. Antich.
There we
Easy.
go.
It's so easy. It's hard. Yeah.
We're really excited to dive into her journey, and I think Laura's already burning with questions. So let's
Oh,
go ahead.
um, well, before we even jumped into recording, I got on the call and Alicia told me like I think two sentences about you, Deborah, and I was like, "Wait, what?" So ultimately, what Alicia told me was that Deborah's listened to the telepathy tapes, which I have also listened to, and that you have been able to visit the hill. And naturally, I'm like, what? So we realized offline that we were already having the podcast. We should probably clue you guys in. So why don't you pick up where you left off, that you visited the hill in a dream?
Yeah. So the only way that I knew it was the hill is because of the like intense love. Like it didn't look like what I think we as humans think the hill looks like. I think that it appears, so I don't want to say like I think, like it's my human thought. It appears the hill looks different to everybody. And the people, it's not even like it is a feeling.
Mm,
It's for me, the hill is a feeling. It is, and there's really like no words for it because there's not words in human language for the hill. It's so I'll give you we were talking to like I see in pictures a lot. And so I'll tell you what I'm seeing right now. Is it's like it's like layers, but the layers are fuzzy, like a rainbow. Like a rainbow, like the gradient is not a line. It just one color becomes another color, becomes another color. And that is actually how I was able to see the autistic language when I very for like a long time ago before I even knew I had autism. I actually had Diane Powell on my radio show, an internet radio show, so like before podcasts were even a thing. And we were talking after, of course, after the podcast, and her God, it was years. I mean, it was over 10 years ago, but it was when she was doing her work with Haley. There's a video, and so after the podcast was done, I was talking to Diane, verbally, obviously, and I started seeing these shapes in my mind going forward in almost like a tape. And it was like the first one was an orange ball that just like hated like a digital like computer, right? Like that's the best way I can describe it, but it didn't have a beginning or an end. It was just like energy sort of, and it was just kind of rotating, and it went by. And then the next thing that I saw was like a Cheeto, a purple Cheeto, like that shape, and that was like in an S shape. And
mm,
it also was like gradient. It was not, there was no line to it, right? And it kind of cruised by, and I was like, this is interesting. Like in my mind, I'm asking the question, this is interesting. What is this? And I was told it's the autistic language. And I said that to Diane, and she goes, wait, what? And when she said that, everything just fell. And I was like, oh my God, why did you do that? Like the first feeling that I had was, why did you do that? But that's what the human mind does. It stops the thing that is coming through. And I mean, no shade to Diane, she's awesome. But it is, she's also a researcher. She's got the logic piece.
mm.
And to me, I'm just curious. So, like, even with the hill, kind of going back to that, I was just curious. There was this feeling of like, well, I want to go to the hill, but then I'm a speaker. And so I felt like there was not from anybody but my own human mind. I felt like there was a gate there, that the fact that I speak makes me not accessible.
Yeah.
And so the only way that I can access is really when and I live in the subconscious, so this is not a weird space for me, but my logical brain was the gatekeeper. My frontal lobe like stops. So it's only, I mean, it only makes sense to me that when I can receive is in sleep. And also, my dreams have gotten a lot more uh vibrant. I'm not, people that can lucid dream, I don't do that. Like that's not, I don't really care one way or the other about that, but and that might be why, but the dreams that I have now, they feel very purposeful.
That's
Hmm.
awesome.
I mean, so freaking awesome. I have a million questions. Do you want to go first so I don't take everything?
I do have a question, just one. Laura has many. Um, One of the things that is curious to me, and Laura and I were just sort of talking about it earlier. So when I went to the Psy Games. Have you heard of the Psy Games?
Mm-mm.
Okay. It's brand new this year. And I keep calling it the Consciousness Conference because to me, that's what it was. Lots of speakers coming, talking about physics and quantum physics and
Mm-hmm.
what happens in the brain when people are in a psychic state or in different states. And long story short, the message that I got was that a lot of this activity happens in the right side of the brain where there is no language, which is exactly what you're
Yeah.
describing. And it's a lot of pictures and it's a lot of feelings. Like I'm getting the feeling of this or that.
Mm-hmm.
With that being said, where do we draw the line as far as listening to our feelings?
So
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
my natural response to that is, well, first I have a question and then I'll respond. My question is, make that statement a little bit different so that I can understand what you're asking me. But the answer to the question that I think you're asking me is we don't. Like there, when you say line, like to me, that is lines are boundaries. So you're putting a boundary on your thoughts. Your,
Let me give you an example.
yeah.
That'll be okay. I had a female period moment, let's just call it what it is. Uh,
Hmm.
and my husband just gingerly asked me to like check how much time was left on the washer machine. Not a big deal. I went out, I looked, I reported back. After I reported back, all of my feeling, I was angry at him at the time.
Yes.
And my brain went to, why don't you just check the fucking app? Why do you need me to go outside and check it for you? But I noticed that that was kind of a bit extreme given like what he upset me about was just a different preference. So like I was choosing to let that feeling be true, but not let that feeling dictate how I communicated with someone I love in the moment.
Okay. You just said a whole lot of words where my response would be, why didn't you say that to him?
Oh, I did.
So, so But so it's really interesting that we're having this conversation today
Ooh,
because some things have happened for me lately where I grew up in a place where in some places you could share your feelings, but there was also a lot of suppression. And it was like, we don't talk about our problems. We don't talk about, like it's just, and also what I'm hearing is that makes you weak. Like in some people's eyes, that makes you weak. Well, what we're moving into now is the opposite of that.
yeah.
And in having, so I have to tell you, this is going to go all over the place, but it's for a purpose. Okay. So my weak spot of my body, because everybody has one, is my throat. And it's my indicator and it's my weak point and it's my indicator. Meaning when I am running myself down, which happens because I'm like, I always tell people I'm high functioning autism, I am low functioning ADHD, and it is the truth. And so, but when I start to really run myself down, my throat will tell me. I have an ulcer that pops up in my throat that is like, it's saying, like, hey, Deb, you need to chill. Like you need to cool. And sometimes I'm like, okay, I hear you. And then other times I'm like, get out of here. I don't want to hear it. And I just keep barreling until I crash. My husband is aware of this. I am now also aware of it. I'm really having to slow down my human thoughts. And something came to me the other day that is 100% true. Productivity is death. Like when you're worried about being so productive and needing to put things into all these little boxes, you're literally like you're running down your clock. Like that's what I hear is like you're running your clock down. And so I am really being very conscious of where I'm putting my energy. And
Mm,
in the past, I have not, I have never, I have always either walked away from something because it's too difficult to get into, or I I just have never felt like I had a voice. And
mm,
that goes back with my throat is my weak point. So I actually play sound baths, and yesterday I played a sound bath with three bowls that were very specific to the throat
mm,
and to the voice. And so in doing that, like I'm learning I can't, I might need to say the thing that sounds harsh, but then it's for the purpose of let's sit down and like untangle this a little bit. So that's why I said to you, I know this whole podcast is going to be about the washer or like that. It feels like it at least, but it's the starting point, right? It's our landing point that we come out from. And it's like saying that thing, but then also being able to say, you know what? I wasn't when I said that to you, it was really about this other thing over here. And this is one of the things that humans do. We are all human on this planet, is we wait and build things up, and then we attack on something that is tiny.
mm. Interesting. I mean, I have a million things I want. I like how you said it because I think like you're being very conscious of where you're putting your energy, right? Like productivity is the kind of where you went from that. And like the first place my brain went to was impact. Because for me, when I don't really, I agree with you. I don't think being, why rush? Why do we need to race everywhere we're going all the time? And I think that's just kind of a extension of the productive culture we live in and having a scarcity mindset with everything. Go ahead.
One thing that comes to my mind when you're talking, because a lot of times when other people speak, like I'm getting things, is asking the question, why? Like, and that also starts to untangle why is he asking you to do it? Why, because your perception, this is also something that I know is this person's perception is really different than this person's perception. And
Yeah.
so he might have in his mind thought, well, you're probably going out there anyway. So why don't, so maybe you can just check. And you're like, MFer, your phone is in your hand all the time. Why don't you look at the app? So there's two different perceptions going on here. And so being able to just say, um, why do you ask? Because that's a neutral question. Do you
Mhm.
know? So I'm going to stop talking because your eyes kind of looked like, I don't know. I want to kind of stop so that you can answer me.
So
Like,
I can give you, I think I just need to give you more context
sure,
because the origin of the pain point was it's so silly. And this is what's funny is I wanted to watch, or we agreed to watch a movie in the morning. And he was very, very confident that we'd seen it before. And I was very, very confident we hadn't. And so he was trying to prove to me that we had seen it. And I addressed it. I'm like, hey, I'm okay if you need to believe that you've seen it. I'm not trying to argue that with you, but I still don't believe I have no recollection of seeing it. I would like to see it, and you pointing it out is bothering me. Why do you feel like it's really important that I validate that you've seen it? Why is that so important to you? And he couldn't really tell me. And we tried like three different rounds of having that conversation. And eventually I was like, I think it's probably just best if you let me just watch this movie since you've already seen it and I haven't, and I would like to enjoy it. And that's what I
right.
did. I still felt some of my old trauma of my people in my life being self-righteous. And so like that brought that up. And then I was
Yeah.
not very
Oh,
good.
yeah.
So there's a lot of
Okay.
components. So then later, when I came back from the grocery store, I was standing, going to put the bag outside right next to the washer, and that's when he asked.
Hmm.
For added context, it might make it a little bit easier for the conversation.
So the added context that I received was pulling all the words down to, I feel dumb. Like him saying to you, we've already seen this. Like, why can't you just remember and acknowledge that I'm right on his part,
Mhm.
and on your part saying, I'm not dumb. I don't remember. And I'm going to, so which is what you did. But for him, there are the components of you wasted a morning, all the, and it's all the you, right? Like you did this, you did that. And it's like, hey, bro, like I don't remember watching it. And so in his mind, you took away from y'all's time together, which is, I mean, like it's kind of like neither here nor there. But for him, he felt like you were taking something away from him that was not important, but for you it was. Your perception was, and so the reason I know this is because I feel it while you're talking about it, because I have very little memory, period. And so when someone says to me, yeah, you were there, and I'm like, I have to go through everything in my mind where I'm like, was I there? Why don't I remember I'm there? So I go down a whole rabbit hole while they just said something to me and then they turned around and walked off. And I'm like, why don't I remember this? So again, speaking to trauma,
Mhm.
this is that. So that's why, like, whenever I did this, it's like, here's all these words, but the feeling is I'm dumb.
So,
Is that, yes?
Yeah, like a feeling of like, and also his feelings to you being like, it's irrelevant. Your desire to do this thing is irrelevant because I've already done it. Do you see what I'm saying? There's two very different points of view,
Well,
but
yeah, I
when,
mean, to a certain degree, I mean, I'm privy to the rest of the conversation. So, like, I personally, I didn't feel dumb. I might have felt more irrelevant whether he's seen it or not. Like, okay, we can see it again. Like,
yeah,
I don't need that to be right.
so irrelevant, if you look at it on the spectrum of feelings,
Hmm.
look at where it would lay next to, because what he's also telling you is that you're wrong.
That's fine. I mean, he can think I'm wrong. I have no problem with
Yeah,
that, right?
no, not right. Because it became something bigger later.
Well, that's because I have no problem being wrong or right because I think
Mhm.
that's objective.
But like the feeling that I get is a hook. It dug somewhere into
It
you.
was him being self-righteous and needing to try and prove me wrong. That is a trigger of trauma for me from my childhood. So that would likely be the hook that you're sensing. But with him specifically, he thinks I'm wrong all the time and then later finds out I'm right. So I'm very comfortable with my own beliefs, I guess.
Yeah, I hear you. I hear you. I am expressing to you the feelings that are coming to me
Yeah.
while you're talking about this.
Okay.
so
I love that you said okay. Yeah, okay. Let's
Yeah.
go on.
That's interesting. Yeah.
Yeah.
um, question about the feelings. So that was that when at the conference when they talked about remote viewing, they were talking about that it doesn't if you think that you have a narrative for what you're feeling and seeing, you're probably wrong. And so you really have to sit with it and really sort through it.
Hmm.
How do you get those messages? And is this something that everybody can do, or is it just certain people with skills or talents?
Okay, so that's a great question. And people tell me all the time, well, I'm not intuitive. I'm not psychic, right? And I'm like, okay, because if you think you're not, you're not. If you think you are because you are. Just period. It's also like, for example, I am terrible at numbers. I am great at very creative things. So when people like, so I don't do astrology. Like astrology, I enjoy it. It's interesting to me. I can hear somebody else talk about it, but because it involves so many components, like that's bonkers to me. Like this is a whole world over here that I I don't really need to be a part of. Do you see what I'm saying? Because I'm good at this thing over here. I know people that can do that that will tell me, "Oh, Deborah, like that's because you're a blah 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 in your moon or blah blah blah." And I'm like, "Okay, that's cool and interesting to me, but it's not my wheelhouse."
Hmm.
So, using that example, like I talk about templates a lot. Like lay that template over this question. So, and also, remote viewing is different than sometimes I'll just stop talking because I'm like receiving information. So, remote viewing is like a process, like a very specific process, because I do remote view, but it's different than receiving information. And here's where I'll tell you they're different. So, receiving information is our information is around us all the time, all the time. And so whenever sometimes it just comes, which is one of the reasons why a lot of the nonverbals are in pain
Mm.
because they're receiving information constantly. It's like the field is 100% open and they're constantly, it's like I see in layers. And if I were receiving layers of words, energy, vibration, um, uh, thoughts, comments, it's like it's so overwhelming. And like being in a school is so overwhelming that a lot of times when some of our nonverbals are in their own comfortable teeny tiny space at home, it's because that's what they can handle. It's to put a child that is receiving information all the time into a Gen Pop setting is torture, period.
Hmm.
Period. And it's also what their parents want. It's what society wants. So we have got to break that whole, everything is about to just start crumbling. It is already crumbling down. And these kids are here because they are the new way of doing things. Like we are, so to answer your question about remote viewing, I'll tell you how I see it. Because our information is around us always, the way that I see it is kind of like cotton, like cotton, like a cloud, right? Like a little puffy cloud. And so when you're talking about remote viewing, I am just accessing energy. So I put up it's like a little hook on a line. It's almost like a little kid drawing, right? Like my little line goes up, it goes over. So like Laura, you're under me right now in this. So what happened when you were talking is my little hook just went out because we were connected. And my little hook went down into like if you can imagine my finger going down into your space, and it's my little hook. And I'm just hooking into your emotional field.
Hmm.
That's where, and I can see because autism affords me this, I see every little micro response that you're having. And so I also know that that was irritating. Like me saying what I was saying and you knowing what you know, there's this feeling of like, well, you don't know that, but I do. Because the information is around you. And so, not to go back to the washer, we're done with that. But that's how it works. So, like remote viewing, that to me is different because When someone sits down to remote view, there's a process to it. And you scribble, and I'm talking about like the process that has been developed for remote viewing. And you go through, you empty your mind, you put it on the paper, blah, 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 blah. Well, I've remote viewed 100 times, and sometimes it's right and sometimes it's wrong. I would rather not go through a process and just send up my little hook and have it look around and see where it wants to land, because that is going to be more uh, true.
Okay.
That, yeah. Does that kind of
Yeah.
explain? Yeah, yeah. Because so I have helped people find homes with remote viewing in other states, in other places on the planet. And one of the things that happens a lot of times is people will be like, "Oh my God, Deborah, I found my dream house. My dream house, oh my God." And I'm like, "Yeah, that's not your house, dude. Like, that's not your house. It's probably next door. So look at the house next door. That house isn't for sale. What are you talking about?" I'm like, "Here's why this isn't your dream house. A lot of times I see water under homes.
Mm,
So that is, and um, a lot of times. And I'm seeing it a lot more often now. I'm seeing even, so I have a house, but I live in a camper too. Like I split my time between these two places. My camper is in the woods. It's very remote, and it's sinking on one side. Well, I keep saying we have to keep jacking it up. And people are like, "Oh, it's not sinking. It's just it's dry." I mean, you guys have like Alicia, you have the different situation there where it's always wet. It's
yeah.
dry here, like the drought. Even though we just had floods and stuff, it's doesn't matter. And so um I'm like, "Okay, well, if it's not sinking, why do I keep having to jack it up?" And they're like, "Well, it's just because it's dry." I know, because I am in that space, I can feel underneath me the ground is sinking. And there's even places where I can see the top part of the ground has fallen away, and the bottom part, I mean, like the next layer is like right here. Like I can see it with a flashlight. But people are always like, "No, it's that or this." And I'm like, "Okay." I say okay a lot, because when people are like kind of arguing with me, I just say okay, because I'm like, I'm not going to argue. And you did it too, which I loved. When you said, "Okay, that says we don't need to talk about this anymore."
Yeah.
Yeah, it's easy. Okay is great. I love okay. I know that I just went in a lot of different places. Did I answer your question, Alicia?
The only part you didn't answer was, is this something that everybody can do? Which was something that they talked about at the conference, that everybody has some kind of skill or an inclination, maybe even towards something. Kind of
Yeah,
like what you were saying, astrology is not for you, but receiving information is. So
yeah.
I guess,
Everybody's born with a skill set.
okay.
Everybody, period. Some of us, it's in our hands. Some of us, it's in our mind because of the way. And also, by the way, autism is not a disability, it's a diff ability. It is
Ooh.
different wiring. We are just wired different. And I will also tell you, the more that I lean into that, the less I care about human bullshit. Like, period. Like, and the more that I lean into that, the more people fall away from my life. And I'm okay with that,
Yeah, I'm sure.
because, and I will meet people and I'll be like, "Okay, I I really want to work with this person because there's a project that's really cool. We can make some things happen." But along the line, and anybody can do this. I'm not telling you anything that people aren't doing already, but we push it away and we said, "Well, that can't be right." Or, "Well, I really like this person. I really want to keep working with them." Everybody will show you who they are at some point.
I agree.
Mm-hmm.
And if it is not in line with your frequency, this is what will happen. There will either be an explosion, or they will slowly either start to pick at you, or you, especially when someone is, this is such a like, oh, blah, blah, blah. way, like I don't like the whole woo-woo thing. It's like nothing is woo-woo, and that irritates me. So, but whenever people are talking about being in peace, like needing to be like for me, I'm like, as long as I'm neutral and I'm not having like I want to stay at neutral, especially because Alicia, before Laura came on, we talked about working in recovery. Like if I am out of balance because of somebody else's stuff or because of I call it stacking, like when you have all these plates stacking up and like you're starting to like do this, that is instability. The more
Mm.
stable a person is, the more like grounded they are, the better they're going to be. And so this even speaks to what you're asking me, which is, and everybody really should be developing their skill set. And everybody comes to this planet with some kind of very special piece that fits in with the people that are supposed to be in their life.
Ah,
When they don't, that's when you have discord. Like whenever, so when I play my bowls, sometimes I'll play two at the same time and they're like, "Wah," and I'm like, ooh, something is happening here. There is a discord here. Let me see how I can release that, clear that. It's usually for somebody that I'm playing for and I can feel that. The
Mm.
end. Does that answer, did that, but everybody comes with a skill set and 93% of the people actually develop it to the degree that it needs to be developed.
oh,
And
okay.
need, I'm not a fan of the word need.
Yeah.
The degree that it, if it were developed, it would be most beneficial for everybody else, humanity, the world, the planet, the atmosphere, everything.
Hmm.
But when people are like, what I'm seeing is like two pieces of metal like grinding against each other, like when your brakes wear down and you're actually hitting the rotor. I just got to replace my rotors the other day with somebody, and I learned, oh, I didn't know what it meant when you were hitting your rotor. Like that doesn't make sense to me because I don't work on cars. But then I replaced it and I was like, oh, rotors are really expensive. And if you're down to the rotor, that means this whole piece has to be replaced. Now I understand that,
Mhm.
but nobody explained it to me. And I'm also like a tactile person. I need to see and touch things, which is also a trait of people on the spectrum, is that tactile piece. Because like when I touch it, I understand it.
Hmm, that's cool.
Hmm. May I?
Yes.
Oh,
Thank you. One of the things that you mentioned, and it kind of ties into something you were just saying about like we all are kind of born with these gifts and we get the opportunity to develop these skills to the aligned variation for limited
mm-hmm,
kind of language, right? And previously, one of the things you were talking about is you can't fully receive unless you're asleep. And that's partially because your frontal cortex gets in the
yeah,
way, right? And kind of bringing it a little bit more to like the listeners. If they're listening to, okay, there's a skill set in me that I can develop, but there's also a degree of receiving with it because it's not about maximum development to your point. It's kind of like an alignment, intuitive, energetic vibe. So something I encounter a lot with a lot of my clients is a struggle to receive.
mm-hmm.
How do you approach, communicate, etc.?
So like what comes up to me is and I don't know if you heard this earlier or not. I think Alicia, me and you were just talking about. So I am a licensed drug offender educator. I work with people that have gotten popped for drugs. They come to my class. They have to take this class. It's part of the class sucks. It's, if I taught it like it's supposed to be taught, I wouldn't be able to teach it because it's terrible. But in this class, but I'm able to bring kind of my own spin to it because there's like zero oversight, and also it's recommended that we bring new information. So whatever. But so anyway, um, I'm going to ask you right now to repeat your question because I have forgotten it.
No problem.
Okay.
Um, ha- in modern day, a lot of people struggle to receive energy, intuition,
Okay.
guidance.
I've got it. Okay, thank you. So, one of the reasons that people end up in that class is because they are not doing what they are meant to be doing on the planet. They either followed in their parents' footsteps, they did what their parents wanted them to do. They they are living and the word sometimes I hear the wrong sometimes I don't use the right word, but the word that I heard was procuring. They are pushing forward a traumatic
Mm,
bloodline. Do
Mm.
you So right now where we are, there is a cutting that is happening. And about halfway through this class, because one of my big things is I just teach them their value. Like we do these little exercises that I created that a lot of them are drawing and they build on each other. And so I am just holding a mirror up to them about what they really want from their lives. And so as they're writing it, remember I told you I'm tactile, like I need to touch. I working on a computer is not great for me. But like writing things down, drawing things, coloring, like we use colored pencils in that class, but it really helps people to solidify what's coming in. To write it or draw it helps to solidify it. And so whenever they're doing that around Wednesday of the class, because it's Monday through Friday, they're like, I really like working on cars. And then the things that they really enjoy doing are coming up through our conversations. And I'm like, why don't you do that? Well, my dad wanted me to go into the family business. Well, my blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, you are not doing what your purpose is on the planet. And then I have people say, but you don't make a lot of money doing this or that. Well, guess I will tell you what else is coming. Everything and everything is just about to drop. So we are going back to community, bartering. This is all, Alicia, I see your face. Community, I was just listening to something the other day because it was on somebody's story. A guy that was talking about community is currency. We are and so as I don't think you can see it, but like every hair on my arms is standing up right now. And that it's true. Like whenever your body is having a reaction to something, it is true. We need each other. We
mm,
don't need money. And whenever people are like, but I'm like, we need a little money. We don't need a lot of money. And if we are creating community, you need even less money. Money is a construct of man. Time, construct of man. Calendars, construct of man.
mhm.
Um, I God, we're gonna have to talk off the air too, but um sticking to the audience, when we connected on Facebook, in it was a very random way to connect. I'm just gonna
Will
tell
you remind me? I mean, because
X.
literally when you sent me that the thing saying, "Hey, see you today," I was like, "Which podcast is this? Who is?" And I thank God we had a text chain because I forget so many things. So for the audience, will you let people know how we connected?
Yes. So after I'm such a psycho. After I listened to the telepathy tapes, I started looking up everybody that I heard about on the telepathy tapes, and one of those people was a mom that I connected with on Facebook, and she made a post about something with RFK and vaccine,
Mm,
and
hmm
you commented on it. And the way that you responded was just so beautiful. And you were saying, we need to be able to have conversations. I welcome all of this with love. And it was so kind and wonderful. But you also mentioned that you were very sensitive to energies and that you could feel like you have to unplug your appliances a lot of times because the energy is too much. So ever since we had that conversation, I have talked to multiple clients of mine who have said the same thing, not just with appliances, but that one client said she can feel the energy of a building and
Yeah.
feel that the building is like, oh, don't go to that building or
Hmm.
something like that. And she
That's what happened. So real quick, I'm going to jump in and then you can keep talking. That's what happened with 9/11. There was an energy around that. The fact that I just could never even real comprehend how few people died in that terrible tragedy. And there, a lot of people talked about that after, that there was a feeling that they didn't go to work that day. Think about how massive those buildings are and how many thousands of people would have been in those buildings.
Hmm.
3,000 people. I mean, that also sucks that that many people died, but how many more? And so many people over and over and over again didn't go on a cruise. Because, I mean, think about the Titanic. There is an, there, everything has an energy to it. And if I'm going to go back to your earlier question, then I'm going to stop talking, so that you can finish what you were saying. But that is one of the things, is recognizing where the energy is not matching. And so often people end up married to the wrong person because the energy didn't match. But they got further along into planning a wedding. They got further along. They didn't want to make anybody mad. They didn't want to make anybody sad. They didn't want to disappoint anybody. All of these things are the things that I hear my drug offenders talk about.
I agree with that 100%. And I don't know, Laura, if you want to chime in here because that was just I was just sharing my experience of since we
Yeah.
communicated on Facebook and how I've talked to some of my clients about this because it keeps coming up. And many of them are affirming that, yeah, I can feel that. Yeah, that's true. Do you want to chime in there?
What's coming up for me is a little silly, but it makes me think of, and I can't remember if it's the right movie. It might be like Baby's Day Out or another baby one, but it's like literally, it was a 90s movie, I'm pretty sure, an 80s movie where like these baby geniuses, it was baby geniuses,
Ah! You got it.
where they literally like start to communicate with adults, and now the adults are like, oh my God, these brilliant babies, right? And then there's a crossover, right? There's a, oh, so and so crossed over into like the analytical mind. It's kind of like as I'm listening to our conversation, like this is so much of what you and I have talked about in different variations because Alicia's very analytical and I tend to be more energetic. Like we'll have conversations. She's like, well, what is your head telling you? I'm like, I don't hear things in my head. I
Right.
just feel things, right? And she's like, I still don't.
Yeah.
And then we'll go back and forth. Like, well, what is your body telling you? She's like, wrong code. I'm thinking. And we have to like, we joke about it. But one of the things that like this conversation and the telepathy tapes has kind of strengthened, I guess, in my ideology is I love the language you already put to it as like not like misinformation or disinformation, but like it's not a disability, it's a diffability,
Yeah.
right? And to your point, I think there's so much more abundance that our world can unite around
Yeah.
when we kind of gather our differences because they're intended for a purpose in how my mind thinks of it. But I think that we're trying to uproot the old ways of shaming emotion, which is like I feel like the primal energy that people initially start to become aware of. And I like what I'm primarily hearing is like learning to be more connected to your own emotions, not judging your emotions, not shooting yourself, not forcing yourself. Like that's the path forward. And that community and connection is where we strengthen that. So like I know that's not directly connected to like
Yeah,
what
no, what you said is perfect. But and don't do that. I see people do that all the time. You said something be first, you said this is silly, which I knew you're getting ready to say something great. And but that's what we do. We kind of dismiss it for the audience before we share it. Trust me, I've worked with young women I do a lot of work with women, and young women to old women do this. Young women to old women apologize all the time. And then another thing that people do is uh, what you just, where you said, this is silly. And then you said the statement, which was beautiful. But then what you did after is you started to do the things to pick it apart.
Hmm.
Just leave it as it is. That is a human thing. Trust me, I've done it plenty. And this is another thing that you guys asked me, like, how do you do? Be very cognizant when you're doing that. Like for you guys, for the listener, anybody that hears this, like, first of all, don't apologize. And this is so again, I'm moving a lot more into working specifically with women because I'm a woman and I have a woman's experience, is a lot of women will apologize just for being on the planet. We don't have to do that. Like everyone that is here, and this is another thing too, and like you see me doing this, like everyone is here at the perfect time
Mm,
right now. And everything this kind of, and I'll go back to the word discord that is happening right now is a big, like, this is kind of a last ditch grab at economy, at even infrastructure. Whenever you were talking about one thing, being not better because it's not a competition, but like one thing is going to be more appropriate than another. What I was seeing was two different layouts of two different cities, one that is laid out well and perfectly for foot traffic, communication, meeting places, and one that actually, as I'm talking, what I'm seeing is, and I know we're wrapping it up soon. Yes, yeah. Um, but can I keep talking or no? Do
Yes.
I
yeah.
need
No,
Yeah.
Okay, 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 bye, Laura. But what I'm seeing is like a city that is created like this with a lot of overlap. And then I'm also seeing a city that is created like this with like kind of New York, like where it's just a bunch of lines. And that is not, those structures are crumbling. Things that are going to be like more organic and many intersect. There's a city, not it's not even a city, it's a town in Arkansas called Eureka Springs that is beautiful, and they only have stop signs. They don't have lights. They only have stop signs because of the way that the streets intersect there.
Oh, cool. Okay. Well, we can continue talking, but for our listeners, this is the end for you all, and we'll have to fill you in on the rest later. But thank you for being with us today and for all of your insights. And we still have a lot of deep dives to do, so we're gonna have to talk more. So thank you again.